Hi, my name's Renae and today we're going to make chocolate chip cookies. The first thing we need is 150 grams of softened butter. I've left this out overnight so it's really nice and soft, so it'll cream nicely with the sugar. We've got some sugar here, I've got brown sugar and I've got caster sugar. So the brown sugar adds a bit of texture and it also makes it a bit more caramelly. We've also got vanilla extract and this gives it a bit of sweetness as well as a bit of flavour. We've got plain flour and self-raising flour. So the self-raising flour just makes them spread a little bit and it makes them nice and light and fluffy in the middle. We've also got 1 egg. I use free-range eggs so the chickens are treated nicely. We've also got the fun stuff. We've got milk chocolate bits and we've also got some dark chocolate bits there. So what we need to do first is make sure that our oven is preheated and ready to go so that when we've mixed everything together, made the biscuits, we can just pop them straight into the oven. So I need 150 grams of softened butter. Now the butter in these packs is really useful because it comes in 4 100 gram blocks. So I need 1 of those, and how much of this one? Half of it. Excellent. So this butter's a bit soft, so I might just unwrap it. It's nice and soft, so it'll mix really nicely. There's nothing worse than having hard butter. It's very hard to work with. So I'll see how accurate this is. Just put it in there. About 145. I reckon if I take this off, it might weigh a bit, like 10 grams off. There we go, so that's 134, so the paper weighed a bit and there's a lot of stuff still stuck in there. 156, that'll do. The more butter you put in, the moister the cookies are, so we'll just compensate with some more flour. So, would you like to pop that in our bowl?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll turn the scales off, so we don't need those anymore. Now, what's next on the, what do we need to do next, Martina?
The softened butter, sugar and vanilla extract.
Excellent, so we need to add in the sugar. So I'll bring my little bowl back and the scales. Didn't think this through very well, did I? Alright, pop that on there. So how much sugar do I need? I need half a cup. I don't need to weigh it. There we go. Ooh. So I've got half a cup here. Okay, I'm just going to get Martina to cut open the sugar there and she's going to put it into the half cup.
Because that's dangerous.
They are very dangerous. Are you sure you're right with those scissors?
Yeah.
It's okay because she's got an adult supervising her. So it's awesome. Can we have that bowl please go? And we'll put the sugar in. Yep, so just tip it in. The brown sugar is really thick because it's got lots of moisture in it. It's not as refined as the caster sugar. So it's still got lots of the sugar cane. And that's where, what's it called? Golden syrup. When they squeeze the sugar, the golden syrup comes out and then you get this. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so we can pop that in there. Calvin, can we trust you with the scissors?
Maybe.
Maybe. Do we trust him with the scissors? I like how you passed those scissors to me. There you are. Would you like to move those down so we can see what you're doing? There's the caster sugar, and we need half a cup of that as well. So now this one will come out fast. Right to the top.
Do you think this meal is healthy or unhealthy?
Well, when you see the amount of sugar that goes into it, some people might say it's unhealthy, but my mother always used to tell me that when you bake your own biscuits at home, they are healthier than bought biscuits because you know exactly what's gone into them. You know all the ingredients, there's no preservatives in them, so they're a lot healthier for you in that regard, but I wouldn't eat them all the time. I wouldn't have them for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I would just have them as a snack. So what we need to do now is add in the vanilla extract. So this is it here. Would you like to have a smell of it? It smells really nice.
Yeah, I'm good.
You good? You want to have a sniff? What does it smell like?
Very powerful.
It is very powerful. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Alright, so I need 1 teaspoon of that. Because it's so strong, as you guys both said, we only need 1 teaspoon. So this is a tablespoon and this is a quarter of a teaspoon. So mathematicians, how many of these little ones will I need? anything past you. So, 1, and it's really thick. 2, 3, and 1 more. Excellent. Okay. So, if you are going to make these at home, now is the time when you would probably need an adult, because I'm about to use some machinery. Because this would be really hard to cream by hand using a wooden spoon. So what we need to do is we need to use our mixer, hand mixer over here. So this is my trusty hand mixer. Now making sure it's turned on. Can you turn it on? We mind the cord on the floor. Excellent. Okay, so we want to stick it in there, and because the butter's nice and soft, it should mix really nicely. When you cream something, it means that the butter and the sugars will mix together, and it should be nice and smooth when you're finished. So this might be a bit loud. You're not sensitive, are you, with your ears? You might want to cover your ears. There might be some sort of explosion. So let's see what happens. Put 1 cup of flour in there. Now be really careful. Flour is my enemy. It always seems to go and go everywhere. Good job. You've done this before. Too wet. There we go, beautiful. So now what I need to do is hold this above here, and you tip there, and you can give it a little bit of a bash on the side. Would you like to have a go at doing that? Oh, there you go. Excellent. Look at those muscles, I can see them. Yeah. And notice how the flour is nice and light, there's a bit of air through it, so it makes the biscuits a lot nicer. Lovely. Okay, so we've got all of the flour, or do we still need to open the self-raising flour? Yeah. Now, it's really important before we add the self-raising flour, just to give it a bit of a mix, because what's going to happen is, with cookies, it's actually a dough. It's not a mixture, it's not runny, so it'll get quite stiff and quite hard to mix. So you add the flour in batches. So we'll have this plain flour first, and then we'll add the self-raising flour. So I'll just sit that over there for a second, Calvin. And I'll just give it a mix through, and you'll notice that the mixture is starting to get a lot drier. And this is where things get interesting, and we might need to borrow Calvin with his muscles again to mix it when it gets quite difficult to mix. And you guys washed your hands, didn't you? Good, so did I. Because with biscuits, you have to handle them with your hands. Because eventually our hands are going to end up in here. It's a bit like Play-Doh, I guess. Okay, so we've mixed in the flour, and as you can see, the mixture is getting quite stiff now and quite hard to mix. So what we need to do now is put in some self-raising flour.
So how many years have you been teaching?
I've been teaching for 4 years, and I've actually spent those whole 4 years in Doveton. I started off when it was Doveton North Primary School, and then when we merged with Doveton Heights, I was at Doveton Primary School, and now I'm at the wonderful Doveton College.
So was 4 years fun?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of fun in Doveton, but I must say this is the most fun I've ever had, cooking in front of a camera. It's quite nerve-wracking.
What was your favourite dessert as a child?
Oh, it would have to be my mum's self-saucing chocolate pudding, I think. So you can really see now that the mixture is becoming very, very thick, and it's almost ready for us to add. What's the last thing we need to add, the best bit?
The chocolate.
The chocolate bit. When I made these with my mum when I was a kid, I used to always put in more chocolate bits than you were meant to. I like them very chocolatey. So the mixture I've got here right now, yep, before we put the bits in, that this mixture is actually the basic biscuit mixture. So you can add anything you want to this mixture. If you wanted to make chocolate biscuits, you could just add some cocoa powder. Yep. Calvin, do you think of anything else you could add to it to make some interesting biscuits?
M&M's.
Oh, definitely. Make sure that each ball of biscuit is the same size, so they all cook at the same time. So just grab. Depends how big you want your biscuits. Some people want really big biscuits. Some people want really small ones. So you just shape it in your hands. It's a bit like Play-Doh. I reckon that size is about good. And then you just pop it on the tray. and you can flatten it out a little bit with your hands. Okay, so I've put one of the raw cookies there on the tray. So I'll just get another one. Now this is where you have to make sure that they're roughly the same size. If they're different sizes, what do you think is going to happen, Martina?
Maybe won't cook properly.
Yeah, some will burn and then others won't be cooked. So you just sort of sit it next together, that's about right. You flatten it out a little bit. Now you want to make sure that you've got some space in between them because of that self-raising flour, they will spread. Alright, I'm just going to pop these biscuits now in the oven. So we've got 9 on there. I didn't want to overcrowd the tray. So kids, stand back. There could be a big fireball that comes out of here, so just be careful. So we carefully under the oven. Now make sure that you put the door right down because sometimes it can flip back up and burn you. And then we'll just stick them on the top tray there, just to be nice and firm. And we leave those in the oven for about 15 minutes. Okay, let's see if they're done. Just carefully get them out here. Delicious. I think they're perfect. Okay, so we've let the cookies sit now for a little bit so they're cool because you don't want to move them when they're too hot because what will happen is they'll wilt because they're still quite soft. But now they've softened up nicely and you can just use a spatula just to move them. As you can see, the baking paper has made them really easy to get off. So we just sit them on this cooling rack here so that air can get underneath them so that they don't go soggy. So we'll just sit them here. And they're still quite hot. If you're doing this at home, I'd suggest that you use like an egg lifter underneath so that you don't burn your fingers. Oh, how lucky is that? None of them stuck together. So they can sit there now on the cooling rack to cool down. And you might want to leave them for about probably 10 minutes just to cool down completely. Okay, so let's have a taste of what we've made today. So I'll just grab them here. There you go. Dig in. Oh, you took the biggest one. That was mine. What do you reckon?
It's really good.
Tasty.